What if I told you the UFC's most entertaining fighter might also be its most misunderstood? A man who talks louder than most, fights harder than many, and lives like he's already a legend. Paddy. The Paddy Pimblett isn't just a fighter. He's a phenomenon, a wild card, a walking contradiction who's forcing the MMA world to pay attention. Born on March 1st, 1995 in Liverpool, England, Paddy was raised in a loud, proud working class family. His city is one of football anthems, deep loyalty, and fiery personalities, so it's no surprise that Paddy came out swinging even before he stepped into a cage. As a kid, he was scrappy. Fighting with his older brother wasn't unusual. It was how he learned to defend himself. Liverpool shaped him, toughened him, and gave him his voice. That distinct Scouse accent. At the age of 15, Paddy had his life-altering moment. He watched Vitor Belfort demolish Rich Franklin at UFC 103, and something clicked. He didn't just want to fight, he needed to. That same week, he walked into Paul Rimmer's Next Generation MMA gym, and from the moment he put on gloves, his obsession was born. He trained 4 days a week while juggling school, and it didn't take long for people to notice. This kid had raw talent, explosive energy, and something more, personality. At just 17 years old, he made his amateur MMA debut against the far more experienced Nathan Thompson. Most fighters would hesitate. Paddy didn't flinch. He came out aggressive and earned a TKO in the first round. That was the moment people started whispering, this lad might be special. He began fighting regularly, often in small venues with barely 100 people in attendance. But even back then, his walkouts, confidence, and style made him feel like a headliner. Soon he joined Cage Warriors, Europe's top MMA promotion, the same company that launched Conor McGregor. Paddy wasn't just fighting, he was performing. Win or lose, fans loved his energy. Over the course of his Cage Warriors career, Paddy went 11-1, capturing the featherweight title by TKO against Johnny Freichi in 2016. At only 21 years old, he was already a champion, and the UFC took notice. They offered him a contract. He turned it down. Most fighters would jump at the chance, but Paddy was different. He believed it was too soon. If I lose too early, he said, I might never get that shot again. It was a gamble few would take, but it was classic Paddy. Confident, calculated, and unwilling to compromise his long-term vision. But the years that followed weren't easy. Paddy suffered 2 tough losses to Nad Narimani and Soren Bak and began battling injuries. Critics called him overhyped, doubted his skills, said he was all talk, but Paddy never hid. He kept showing up, doing interviews, cracking jokes, and embracing both love and hate from fans. Outside the cage, he started building something else, a media empire. He launched a YouTube channel, began vlogging, and created his own podcast, Chat and Pony. He started leaning into who he was, a fighter, yes, but also a personality. The fans who followed him from the beginning stayed loyal, and new ones kept showing up. Finally, in 2021, the UFC came calling again, and this time Paddy said yes. He signed with the promotion on March 29th, 2021, and announced he was moving up to lightweight. No more brutal weight cuts, no more hiding. It was time. Paddy's UFC debut came on September 4th, 2021 against Luigi Vendramini, and it did not start smoothly. Paddy got clipped early, stumbled, and looked in serious trouble, but then the switch flipped. Paddy came storming back and finished Luigi with a barrage of punches. First round TKO, performance of the night bonus. The world had just witnessed the birth of a new UFC star. His next fight was against Rodrigo Vargas in March 2022. Once again, Paddy got rocked early. Once again, he came back with fire. He submitted Vargas in the first round, and then in one of the most emotional moments of his career, Paddy grabbed the mic and delivered a tribute to the victims of the Hillsborough disaster, a tragedy deeply embedded in Liverpool's soul. His words echoed, "Justice for the 97." With every fight, Paddy's stock rose, but so did the drama. Behind the scenes, a feud was brewing with Georgian fighter Ilya Topuria. It started online with Topuria making disrespectful comments about Liverpool and Hillsborough. Paddy fired back. Things escalated. At UFC London, the two nearly came to blows in a hotel lobby. Bottles flew, insults were screamed, and fans began demanding the matchup. Meanwhile, Paddy kept winning. In July 2022, he defeated Jordan Levitt and followed it with a post-fight speech that touched millions. His friend had recently taken his own life. Paddy used the spotlight not to celebrate, but to advocate. I'd rather have a friend cry on my shoulder than attend their funeral. That quote spread everywhere. For the first time, even his harshest critics had to admit Paddy wasn't just hype. He was using his platform for good. But controversy wasn't far behind. In his next fight against Jared Gordon, Paddy won by unanimous decision, but the MMA world exploded. Fans, analysts, and fighters all said the same thing. Gordon won that fight. Paddy didn't care. I won, end of story, he said. But the backlash was intense. People questioned his legitimacy, accused the UFC of protecting him, called him a fraud. Paddy stayed defiant. He wasn't here to make friends. He was here to make money, make noise, and keep climbing. Injuries sidelined him for months after that fight. He needed ankle surgery and spent much of 2023 rehabbing. During his time away, his online presence only grew stronger. He kept producing content, interacting with fans, and trolling haters. Whether you love him or can't stand him, he stayed in your feed. Now in 2024, Paddy Pimblett stands at a crossroads. He's 18-3 with a fan base that's as vocal as it is divided. Some see him as the next Conor McGregor, a charismatic showman with legit skills. Others think he's smoke and mirrors, but here's the truth. Paddy Pimblett is different. He's not polished. He's not perfect. He's raw, unpredictable, emotional, and real. And in a sport that thrives on personality, that makes him dangerous. Whether he fights Ilya Topuria next or someone else, one thing is certain. The UFC isn't done with Paddy Pimblett, and Paddy Pimblett isn't done with us. So what do you think? Is Paddy destined for UFC gold or destined to flame out under the pressure? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this. We cover everything in the fight game, from rising stars to shocking controversies. This has been another deep dive, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.